and delighted to have Paul here. And as soon as he can ease his way out, he and Brian are heading off to a local Hawkwatch board meeting, so I know he'll be efficient with his time here. So please welcome Paul Roberts.
Thanks, Craig. Like with Marge, I can distinctly remember the first bald eagle I ever saw, which was on Plum Island in March, and I have no idea how old the bird was. It didn't have a white head and a white tail, but I mean, I fell to my knees, looked up in a 40-mile-an-hour wind, and this bird must have feathered. And I remember the first adult I saw. Eagles have that effect on you. But to put it in perspective, I'm not as young as I used to be. So 40 years ago in 1978 at Mount Wachusett, we saw 13,000 hawks, 10,000 in one day, which blew my mind and that of a lot of other people. How many eagles did we see out of those 13,000 in 1 month? One. For the next 6 years, we saw 1 eagle a year on average. So that's how rare seeing eagles are. If you told me 40 years ago that there'd be an exhibit of Mystic Lake bald eagles, here, you're out of your friggin' gourd. Just impossible. I went to Hawk Mountain in '78. There were 4 of the top hawk people in the country on the mountain with me, and we went to a special watching area, and I was there to learn. I had only been officially hawk watching for like 2 years, and there were no field guides. You just learned in the field. This eagle came right over the lookout. We all looked up. Oh, God. And nobody said anything because nobody knew how old the bird was. It was an eagle, but it wasn't an adult. And there were so few immatures at that time that we didn't know. And here I was trying to learn. What was that bird? So that's the state of things. And the state of photography, if you go in that room, it just blows me away. In 1978, I bought my first 2 raptor prints. They were the best prints at this conference on raptors. Over the course of the next year, I learned the reason they were so good was they were all stuffed mounts, photographed in the basement against a backdrop. So the short-eared owl was never going to fly again. But that's where the good photographs came from. So things have changed dramatically. It wasn't until '87 that we got the first field guide on raptors that started talking about bald eagle plumages, but it was white belly this, white belly that. '89 was the first decent guide to eagle plumages published, a scientific publication, and so it just gradually evolved. Now you can go see eagles of any age in your backyard. And now, because of birds breeding inside 495 and increasingly inside 128, you can see them any time of year. So there are eagles that do not migrate out young. They wander, they do whatever the hell they want to. They got 5 years before they have any responsibilities, maybe 8. So they look for other eagles, they look for free food in interesting places, and you can see them anytime. So to me, it's just incredible. When I tell people, I can walk outside my door and within 2 miles watch nesting peregrines, nesting bald eagles, and nesting red tails, and nesting Cooper's hawks, and I'm in the inner suburbs. There are very few people out in the woods that can say that. So we're really pretty lucky. But although we have this double miracle, both of the birds and the photography, it didn't happen by luck. It happened because people like Rachel Carson brought real attention to the effect of pesticides. And I was shocked 5 years ago to read that she was accused of being a mass murderer by politicians and business people who were opposed to any limitation on pesticides, including DDT. She was vilified time and again, and she stood her ground. And then you had literally thousands of biologists, hawk watchers. The thing I really love to do was started by people to track the decline of birds, to see what was really happening in the bald eagle and peregrine falcon and osprey were the three most important. And then you've got organizations like Massachusetts, I can never get Mystic, the MWRA out of Massachusetts in my mind. The Mystic River Watershed Association, which is one of the preeminent nonprofit groups doing this kind of work, is also in our backyard and doing incredible work, protecting the habitat and improving it so that ospreys and eagles and herring can come back up and run and fly and fish. And they need our support, as does everyone who's working to conserve bald eagles and peregrine falcons and other raptors. So I am so glad that Hunts has done this as a way of raising money for the MWR, see, can't say it. Massachusetts Wildlife, no. The Mystic River Watershed Association is very deserving of this, and it's a way of helping to support and maintain the really good fortune we have in our own backyard. And the other good fortune is not on the walls, it's in the room. So I see a lot of people I see at the dam, walking the lakes, and getting interested. And this year, I've seen great cormorant for 40 years. I saw them when they first began nesting in Maine, and this year, with less eagles to look at, I got to appreciate great cormorant more than ever before. So you never know what's going to happen. So, thank you.